Now, up to this point in the course, whenever we worked with data, it was basically some dummy data which we managed in our Python code, in some variables there. And that's, of course, not very realistic, because by managing it there, we have a couple of disadvantages. For example, whenever we would restart the Python application, so our Django web server, whenever we would restart that, any changes to the data would be lost, because whenever we only operate on variables, the data is only stored in memory, and that data will then be cleared and lost whenever the application is reset, because it's, for example, restarted. So it's not persistent storage if we only work with variables. In addition, of course, we always shared the same data across all requests and therefore also possibly across all users. And we didn't have any rich data query functionalities. We had standard Python variables and had to write standard Python code to filter the data, to limit the data, to do things like this. Now, that's not too realistic. Whilst, of course, you always will have some data which is managed as a variable because it is just temporary data, you also will almost always need some data that should persist forever or that should be stored more permanently. So, that should be stored in a database in the end. And therefore, in this course section, we're going to have a look at how we can manage data in a Django application that is more permanent, that persists for a longer time span than until the next application restart. And we're going to take a look at how we can interact with databases and how a Django concept called models will help us with that. And for this, we're going to first of all have a look at what exactly is data and which different kinds of data we can identify. And we're also going to, of course, take a brief look at what exactly a database is and which options we got there. And we're then going to explore the SQL syntax, which we can use for querying some databases. And we're going to learn how models, a concept built into Django, help us with that. And we're then going to take a closer look at the data and database specific syntax and features Django offers to us when it comes to working with models and constructing database queries to insert and update and delete and get data. So there's a lot to cover. Let's not lose any time. Let's dive right in.